The Red Devils need to recalibrate their squad after failing to push Manchester City close last season, and a number of candidates could leave. Having finished 19 points behind neighbours Manchester City in 2017-18, Manchester United headed into the summer knowing that there was plenty of work to be done in the transfer market to mount a serious challenge next season. For every addition there is a need for at least one departure, with the Old Trafford squad taking on something of a bloated look since the arrivals of Fred, Diogo Dalot, and Lee Grant this summer. Below, we go through some of the players they could offload on permanent deals this summer, starting with the more serious possibilities and working down to those who are considered less likely sales.
Paul Pogba. A wild card in terms of 2018 departures. The £89.5 million midfielder has just come off the success of a World Cup win with France and will only return to club duty in the days immediately preceding the beginning of the new season. United are clearly still hopeful of Pogba going on to reproduce his France form with them in the coming years, but if he and his agent Mino Raiola were to kick up enough of a fuss, then you get the feeling the move away would be a near certainty. At this point that seems highly unlikely to happen this summer, especially since Juventus have upset a number of people with their huge outlay on Cristiano Ronaldo, and Real Madrid seem to have gone cold on their interest of late. Matteo Darmian. Frankly, it's a surprise to almost everyone that Matteo Darmian is still a Manchester United player with little more than 2 weeks to go before the new season starts. Such is the desire from all parties for a fresh start. The Italy wingback's future almost definitely lies away from Old Trafford. The only question now is whether a deal can be completed before the deadline. Juventus' wheeling and dealing this summer has meant their move for Darmian has fallen down the priority list, but could well still happen, while United remain hopeful of offloading him to Inter if a switch to the Bianconeri is a no-go. Anthony Martial. Jose Mourinho had been hoping to keep his seemingly endless stock of forward options, but Martial has been ostracized from his plans so much that the Frenchman cannot wait to get away. His performances in the 2 pre-season matches so far have smacked of a player with his mind elsewhere, and Mourinho showed no sympathy for his situation when asked about a potential move recently. "You cannot do whatever you want in life," returned Mourinho, who will insist that the former Monaco man is retained until the Premier League season starts in order to cover the holidays of his World Cup stars before then potentially freeing Martial to leave to a continental side for upwards of £50 million. Marcos Rojo. Just as United have a mountain of options up front, so too do they have too many defenders on their books right now. With Victor Lindelof and Eric Bailly having come in over the last 2 summers and another centre-back being sought during this window, it is clear that Marcos Rojo is not considered the most reliable of defenders. Despite having played more often as a centre-half than some would have expected under Mourinho, United are likely to listen to offers for the Argentine and could well decide he is the most suitable sales piece if they bring in a target over the next 2 weeks. Luke Shaw. Still only 23, this could be a huge season in the life of England left-back Luke Shaw. Having been on the end of some rather questionable treatment from Jose Mourinho over the last 2 years, the former Southampton man enters the final term of his current United deal with a point to prove. He came back to pre-season training looking fitter than he has in some time, but it might only take a breakthrough in the club's bid to source an available left-back in the transfer market to throw Shaw's future into question once more. United would certainly consider offers in the event they had somebody else in his position, even if Shaw himself remains determined to make a success of his Old Trafford stay.
Phil Jones. Having convinced few of his ability to be the answer to United's defensive quandary over a period of some years, Phil Jones' mistake in the build-up to Eden Hazard's penalty winner in last season's FA Cup final underlined why he is many people's prime candidate to be sold this summer. His loyalty to the cause means he is a player who would be happy to stick around without expecting to play every week, making him a decent cover option at centre-back, but in all reality United would be happy to take a good offer were one to come in for the England squad member.
Chris Smalling. Chris Smalling's form last season saw him start 44 games for United but couldn't win him a place in Gareth Southgate's thinking for England's run to the World Cup semi-finals. He is also likely to be one of the starting centre-backs for the opening Premier League game against Leicester City due to the late returns of many United defenders, but if they are able to bring in another centre-back as planned before the season begins, then a bid for Smalling could well be considered. He may not be their first candidate to offload as they look to trim their squad, but much will depend on the size of the offers that come in for defenders before the window slams shut.